Hello, I'm Shashi Tharoor. What is inspiration? Why doesn't it last? What goals should we as human beings aim for? Join me in discussing Achieving Human Potential with Vedanta scholar Dr. Janki Santosh. Hello, I'm Shashi Tharoor. On Saturday, 10th October, from 7 to 7:45 p.m. Indian. What goals should we as human beings aim for? Join me in discussing Achieving Human Potential.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant verses 1 to 10, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18.
Om Atha Ashtadashodhyayah. Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasasya Mahabaho Tattvamiccami Veditum Tyagasya cha Hrishikesha Prithak Keshinishudana. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phalatyagam prahustyagam vichakshanaha tyajyam doshavadityeke karma prahurmanishinaha yajnadana tapah karma natyajyamiti chapare nischayam shrunu me tatra tyage bharata sattama tyago hi purusha vyagra trividha samprakirtitaha yajnadana tapah karma natyajyam karyameva tat yajnyodanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam etanyapitu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyānīti me partha nishchitam matamuttamam niyatasya tu sannyāsaha karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityāgaha tamasah parikirtitaha dukkhamit Yeva yat karma भयक्लेशभयात् त्यजेत् स कृत्वा राजसं त्यागं नैव त्यागफलं लभेत् कार्यमित्येव यत्कर्म नियतं क्रियतेऽर्जुन सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलं चैव सत्यागः सात्विको मतः न द्वेष्ट्य कुशलं कर्म कुशलेनानुषज्यते त्यागी सत्त्वसमाविष्टः मेधावी छिन्न संशयः.
Janki ji, you are on mute.
Thank you, Bharat. So here we have Aditti has written out her question, which is great. If everyone writes down their question in the beginning, it would be wonderful. It helps the questioner to focus and it helps everybody else too. So here's the question. A goal needs to be taken systematically one by one. If the goal is self-development, what is the yardstick that you follow, knowing when to move on to your next goal? What is the yardstick that you follow, knowing when to move on to your next goal? Okay, so when you take the next goal, when you've achieved the first goal, that's when you take the next goal. How do you go about your current goal one by one, especially when certain traits are interlinked? For example, a person may have fear, pride, envy, and greed at the same time. Okay, so a good question, Aditi. A lot of people have this problem with reference to a goal such as a self-development, because yeah, we have so many faults, right? We don't have just one fault, exactly as you say. So what do? You pick which fault. Actually, that's a really bad word. You pick which area you wish to work in. You want to work on what at the moment? We have hundreds of issues with all of us. We can't do everything at the same time. So you have to pick one. You have to say, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm going to try and do this, whatever your this is. And once you are on top of that, then you can go to the next thing. So as far as self-development is concerned, it's better not to have this mentality of what are the things wrong with me. Like, why should we keep thinking what's wrong with me? Let's think more positive. This is what I need to do. So it's very clear what we need to do as far as our spiritual life is concerned. The first and foremost thing we need to do is, come on,
Self-study.
everybody.
Study, morning
Study, right? You got to get that in place first. Okay? I know who is doing morning study and who is not doing morning study. It is very easy for me to tell. You know how it's easy for me to tell? Those who remember to put themselves on mute are doing some morning study. Those who forget about it are not doing it. Meaning, in other words, what? When your intellect starts functioning, then you will start noticing things which are not noticed by others. Okay, so what is the difference between a human being and the rest? A human being is capable of being aware of millions of things simultaneously. But a bull in the China shop is not aware of it. So it'll walk wherever it walks, 50 things are breaking. So what is culture, what is dignity, is you're aware of what is going on. So to be able to build up the intellect like that, you need to have morning study. That is just like non-negotiable over here. Because if you're not doing the most important thing to be able to develop the intellect, then what on earth are we doing? So morning study is the most important. So suppose, Aditi, you say, next 6 months, I am going to do morning study. Okay, I'm going to try and get that in place. Getting that in place means many things. That means you have to sleep early. That means you have to get up early. That means you have to reorganize things that are happening. Morning, late night, whatever. Some programs there must be. What are there? Are there any good programs going on late night nowadays on TV? No? Okay.
News debates.
News debates, yeah, okay. So whatever is going on in the middle of the night, I'm watching. That's so simple. If it's happening at night, no, but the TV is on, and then I sit down, and then pata hi nahi chalta 1 baj gaye. Oh, you can't afford that. So what will you do? How will you deal with it? You have to think how to deal with it, because the mind is not an easy guy to deal with. It will slip very easily. So it will take you at least 6 to 8 months to get established in morning study. Okay, so now you're there. So what now? Once you feel, okay, I think I'm on top of this, at least 6 days a week, I'm managing to do this. Okay, so then I'm pretty good if I can manage it 6 days a week. Then you're on top of it, Aditi. And so now you can think, what next? And you have to think, what is next? What about my physical body? Am I doing the exercises I should be doing? So immediately after study is a very good time for me to get down to doing my yoga or walk or jogging or whatever it is you want to do. Remember, it's early morning still and nobody in your house is awake. This is the best time in the world. Everybody's fast asleep, quiet, everything is quiet, and nobody's disturbing you. No maids are not coming. It's 6 o'clock now in the morning. You finish your studies. You're good. Okay, so now if your morning study is in place, you take on one more thing. Say, I'll do yoga. Then fix your yoga. Okay, suppose you're doing morning study, you're doing yoga, then you have to have some aerobic exercise. So what are you doing? Going for a walk, going for a jog, fix that next. So go step by step. Like, okay, I'm taking this. Once I come on top of that, then I will take the next thing. Then I will take the next thing. Just as in class, for instance, you have to learn to get regular with your class. However many classes you have decided, I'm doing 1 class a week, 2 classes a week, whatever you've decided, whichever one you are doing, you're doing that. Okay, once you find you're very regular with class, you're absolutely enjoying it and you won't miss your class. Now you conquered that. So then you go to the next step. Now what do? Now maybe I can start group discussion. That's my next step. Now I have to get focused onto that. Make sure I do that properly. Or I ask my questions. How am I asking my questions? Like, see, now you started writing them down. So you go on to the next step. Okay, suppose you conquered this. Then you go to the next step. Now what? Now karma. What am I doing for karma? What am I doing back for Vedanta? So get down to karma. So whatever according to you is the next productive thing to be done, go there. Let's not have this, this is wrong with me, that is wrong with me. Everything in the world is wrong with me, but forget about it now. Let's do positive. Let's think positive. What productive thing can I do rather than what I'm not going to do? Because not going to do never works. Okay, now suppose I'm just taking your example because you have put it there. A person may have fear, pride, envy, greed at the same time. Fear, pride, envy, greed are all the same thing. They're all desire. If you really, really, really want something, you will be proud if you got it. You will be fearful that you're losing it, that you may lose it. You're envious about those who have more of it. And you want more of it yourself. That's greed. So all of it is coming from one root, a particular desire. Now, why do you have this desire going in these negative things? Whatever the desire is, let us see how to productively use that desire. Let us not, when negativity starts, when agitation starts, it's only an indication that you're not doing something correctly. Any desire we can fulfill, right? I mean, we can use that desire productively. So why don't we use it productively? How did it go into this negative thing? That's what I first need to identify, okay, and then work on it. So you start dealing with individual things when your general everything is okay. Okay, you don't start going deep diving into each thing until generally everything is okay, except under one situation where that one thing which is bad is not letting you do anything else, in which case now you'll have to deal with it. In other words, you don't start, like you have cholesterol, you have sugar, you have everything. I mean, whatever. But okay, that may not be a good example. Maybe your body is not very active and not very good. You don't go into each organ and figure out what's going on, right? You start getting your lifestyle right. That's your first step. You get your lifestyle right, your body will take care of itself. Nature is very kind to us. It just takes us doing the right things, and the right things are also not horrible. Oh, bapre, ye karna hai. Just generally be right, and you feel the comfort, and you feel the, I don't know what, you're just happy with things. Happy also is a very strong word. What shall I say? You're just comfortable, just okay. It's not, nothing crazy is going on. You just, you know, you don't have a bee in your bonnet, you don't have a point to prove, you don't have, just everything is fine. Is that okay, Aditi? Are you all right?
Janki ji, thank you so much, because honestly, this is so much clarity you have given me. I've been getting up since a while at 5 a.m. and doing my morning studies.
Wonderful.
Thank you. But upon probing, even simple concepts sometimes seem confusing, and a feeling of getting stuck in moving forward. And this sometimes gets a little helpless feeling or an overwhelming feeling. It feels almost like I'm in preschool and I've been given books of PhD to comprehend. So now, by telling me that you start with the smaller goals, so that is something simpler to then you take these stepping stones and move on to the ones which are more deep rooted. I think that clarity which you gave me is going to help me a lot with my morning studies. But Janki ji, honestly, I get very confused when I'm studying in the morning, because as the thoughts go deeper in, and you had told us to read the book, How Do You Know What You Know? In that, on page 24, it was written, the claim that something is very good for you is usually nothing more than I like it, which again, you were also talking about likes and dislikes. So sometimes it's really overwhelming, because you're not understanding whether this is really from the perspective, or is it from actually what needs to be done. So maybe I think this is just maybe too high a stage for me to get into. Getting into smaller goals would be, I think, more ideal.
No, Aditi, you're wrong in that. You're doing very well because you have learned to question yourself. That is what is necessary. I am so sure about what is right and wrong, but actually, right is very often simply what I like. So, if you are able to understand that this is a possibility, that's a big step forward. Because most people don't understand that's a possibility. They say, no, I know it's right. No, I know it's right doesn't make sense. How did you come to that conclusion? That's why you need the pramanas. That's why you need to know, how did I come to this conclusion that it's right? Anything that I like will always be right. If I like Vedanta, Vedanta is right. And if I don't like Vedanta, Vedanta is wrong. That's how it's going to appear to me. And if you're able to see that, you're doing good. So don't say that about yourself. You're doing good. Just continue doing your morning studies. It will, don't even ask what it is doing. It will do its own stuff. It's doing its own stuff. Just continue.
Even the confusion is fine, right?
Confusion is philosophy. If you're not
Okay.
confused, you're a fanatic.
Okay. Thank you so much, Janki ji. This was so helpful. Thank you.
So, uh, so let us come back. Okay, I think this is very good. Every Aditi says that she feels benefited by the answer she got. Now, I would like the rest of the class to understand, why do you think she feels benefited by the answer she got? Do you all
Because
have
she knew. Because she knew what she was looking for.
No, we don't always know what really we are looking for.
Because she's reflecting.
Yes, because she has worked on the question, right? She took time to write it down in the briefest way that she could think of. The work that we do in the question is what makes the answer satisfying or unsatisfying, as the case may be. Maybe the person answering the question has not answered it correctly, but then you will know that. But if you know, if you have put in the work and you are getting the right answer, it will go straight in. If you haven't put the work in, and even if you get the right answer, it won't go in. So, it is a rule of life that whatever we put into something is what we're getting out of it. So the amount of effort we put into something will determine how much we're going to get out of it. When I say how much effort you put into something, the effort is not just what you do for that thing, but also includes whether this is something worth putting effort for. Because lots of us put in effort on things that we should not be putting in effort in the first place. And then obviously our effort is pointless and useless. So the effort is choosing, okay, this I'm going to put in effort, and then putting in the effort, not randomly whenever I feel like I get not excitement about it, but careful comprehension of what you're doing, of why you're doing it, and what you hope to get out of doing it. The prayojanam. Anyway, we're going to study it, he's going to break up each action into its constituent parts, so we will get there. It's very easy to get excited about what the Gita is going to teach us about. Okay, Karthik says, what is the simple way to get out of tamas? Even simple things like waking up is so hard. How sweet, Karthik. Waking up is not hard at all, Karthik. You're obviously accomplishing getting up because you are up now. So it's not waking up which is hard. It is waking up at a particular time which is hard. So if you think that, suppose you're getting up, I don't know, what time are you getting up? You get up, let's say at 10 o'clock. Then you work your way back and start getting up at 9:30 or quarter to 10. So grade yourself. But when you're doing this, don't take on other challenges as well. Decide what you want to do. Take up any one thing and work on that one thing until you have conquered that hill. So what is the simple way of getting out of tamas really is rajas. Rajas means tamas means that why are you not getting up? Because you don't really want to. I mean, like, what are you going to get up? What are you going to get by getting up early? So when I'm getting up, let's say at 12 o'clock, at noon I get up. And I can't get up before 12. Why can't I get up before 12? Because I don't want to. At the bottom of it is I don't really want to. So why don't I want to? Because I love to sleep? Maybe. But can there be something else? It is usually that I see no reason. What am I going to get by getting up early? So putting tamas where there's rajas means giving yourself desire there. So since I'm not able to get up early, I will give myself desire. Okay, if I get up early, then I'll be able to go for an exercise. And then if I go for an exercise, then I will be very fit and I will look very handsome. Okay, so you give yourself all this rajas. Wherever there's tamas, you give yourself rajas. So how do you get out of tamas is by inflicting desire there. I'm saying inflicting because what you were peaceful for earlier, you will start getting agitated about. So you place a desire, you put some selfish desire there, and then the tamas will become rajas. But when you come to rajas, please move it to sattva, otherwise it will agitate you a lot. Okay? So where were we? Anybody else has? If I don't see a question on the chat, then we don't take it. Okay? And preferably you put the question before the class starts, because if you are typing while the class is on, you're obviously not listening to what's going on in the class. So the question should be put before. Whatever you hear, by the way, should be told to you just once, not over and over and over again. When somebody has to tell you something over and over and over again, what does it mean? What does it mean?
You're not applying your
listening.
intellect.
listening.
You're not listening.
We are not concentrating, not listening.
Yes, in Vedantic language, it means intellect isn't working. Why do you have to be told the same thing twice? You can be explained something you didn't understand, but why do you have to be told the same thing twice? It means it's just intellect's not working. So when we talk about intellect functioning, please understand how big that thing is. And therefore, please understand that if we really did have an intellect, how our life will be, how our achievements will be, how, I don't know what else to say, whole of life will be different, totally different, and yet the same. No difference, and yet completely different. So last time we did verse 6, and in verse 6 we have one more point to cover. Okay, what did we say? Remember the question, the point that he raised for us was, some philosophers say that all action should be given up. You need not show the verses, Omkar, except when we are chanting them. Because, I may go back and forth, so you'll just have to keep running with me. You don't need to bother about that. Not necessary. Everybody, I'm sure by now, has got their text with them. The question that he raised was that some people believe that all actions are bad, evil, they should be given up. And some people felt that no, some actions are evil and they have to be given up. Now, if you carefully study the philosophy behind it, then the fact is that all actions are evil. It's not that some actions are evil. That is why we don't talk about evil actions, because all actions are evil. Now, why do we say that all actions are evil?
Because
they come from desire.
Very good. So you all are all on top of it. Very good. Because every action comes from a vasana. Excuse me. Every action comes from desire. So as long as there's desire, evil. Why is desire evil?
Because it causes agitation.
Okay.
It stops you from reaching the self.
Very good. That's correct. Because it is the barrier between you and the self. Correct, Ganesh. So it is the barrier between you and the self. That's why all religions have personified desire as something negative, right? So the Christians call it Satan. So Satan is always tempting you. When you say Satan is tempting you, what does it mean? It means your desires are tempting you. And what is it tempting you? What is temptation? It's basically taking you away from God. Christians call it Satan. In Islam, it is referred to as Shaitan. In Buddhism, it is referred to as Mara. In Zoroastrianism, it is referred to as Angre Manyu. In Hinduism, it is referred to as the Asuras. So this is the thing that stands between you and God. So desire is evil. It prevents you from knowing who you are. I mean, like, what deprivation have we gone through that we don't know who I am? I don't know who I am. If you ask me who I am, I say I'm Janki. That means I'm living in deprivation to begin with. So, evil means you're being kept away from the truth about your own self. So, desire is what does that. So every action comes from desire. Therefore, all actions are evil. This is clear to everybody, correct? Yes, Tinky?
See, the thing we talk about sattvic actions. So, you can't live in this world and not do action. So the intention behind the action is important. We can't just sit, right? So even to realize the self, it's always that you do your action as a form of yajna, as an offering to God. The intellect guides your action. You do it not because you like it or want to do it, or you avoid because you dislike it. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Then in that case, sattvic action is not evil.
All actions are evil. Every
So now
action is evil.
So I am listening to you to understand little bit more on the spiritual path. Then does that make my action evil? There is a desire also. I want to know more. I want to understand how to progress on this path.
Yes.
How is that action evil?
It is evil because the action has desire. Desire is evil. Every action. That is what he's saying. We studied it, right? 2 classes ago we studied it. That Krishna told us some philosophers say that all actions are evil. Some philosophers, of which Tinky is a part, says no, not all actions. Some actions are evil. Okay? So I am explaining to you currently why all actions are evil. All actions are evil because they have desire. As long as there's desire, it is evil. This is the stance that some people take, and Vedanta would take that stance too, that all actions are evil because they have got desire. Okay, but Krishna continues and says that I am telling you the right thing is that some actions have got evil. That's Krishna's stance. Now, when Krishna tells us some actions are evil, meaning some actions are good and we should perform them, such as yajna, dan, and tapas, why does he say that, okay, these actions should be performed?
Because he's talking to Arjuna, who's a man of action.
Very good. Excellent, Surekha. Because now this stance that all actions are evil is from the perspective of realization. A realized person can say all actions are evil. You and I, Arjunas, can't do that. We have to do action, and therefore we have to choose the actions of yajna, dan, and tapas. Okay, so is that clear? The right stance or the absolute stance is that all actions are evil because all actions have desire. Krishna says some actions are not evil. Oh, well, he doesn't say some actions are not evil. What he says is some actions like yajna, dan, and tapas have to be performed. They are performed by the wise. They are performed by the wise to what end? To purify themselves. So why are you coming to class? To purify yourself. Why are you doing karma? To purify yourself. Why are you doing group discussion? To purify yourself. So these actions should be performed. Okay? I hope this is clear. This division should be clear. From the perspective of self-realization or from the perspective of absolute truth, all actions are evil because they have desire. From the perspective of you and me, of Arjuna, some actions have to be performed. All actions cannot be given up. We have to do some. Now, this advice that all actions cannot be given up is a specific advice given in a specific situation to a specific person. Such pieces of advice are known as smriti.
Smriti.
Smriti. Smriti means what is remembered, like Manu Smriti, and there are so many Smritis. All of this is what is remembered. Even Bhagavad Gita is considered one of the, among the Prasthanatrai, the Smriti Prasthanatrai. So, because Krishna is giving his advice to Arjuna as to what he should be doing. Now, you know that Vedanta is a subject which has immense classification. So all scriptures are divided into two parts. It's called Shruti and Smriti. Are you all aware of this division? Is this division clear to everybody, please?
Yes,
Yes, everybody's clear about the division?
Yes.
Yes, Janki ji.
Okay,
No,
so
no,
those who
ma'am.
are, who said that?
Ganesh.
Ganesh, okay. Ganesh, there is a video on the YouTube channel also in more detail of what is Smriti and what is Shruti. Have a look. I'm just going to do a very brief thing now. Which Shruti means that which is heard, like the voice of your conscience. So that which is heard is Shruti. And Smriti is what is remembered. You remember what you have been told by others. So Shruti literature is that literature which contains Sanatana Dharma or eternal truths. Whatever is said in Shruti is true for all people at all times. So you can imagine Shruti is very small because it is only that which is true for all people at all times. Okay, Smriti literature is vast because it is the opinion of the prophet given to the people that he is speaking to help them grow and evolve and all of that. So all Smriti literature is actually derived from Shruti literature. But as applicable to the people who are being spoken to now. So when Krishna is telling us that some actions should be performed, this sentence comes under Smriti literature because he's giving you an advice, he's giving you an instruction, he's giving you a suggestion, he's saying this should be done. So it becomes Smriti. Now, how do we know that he means it as Smriti and he doesn't mean it as Shruti? Because of the words he uses. He says, Iti me matam. This is my opinion. So the opinion of the prophet given to any student at any time for his upliftment becomes the applicable to him. All religions have this division and Vedanta is just very systematically put. In Gita, it's like perfect. Every time Gita is assumed to be Shruti, and every time he gives a matam, he will tell you, I've just given you a matam. He will tell you that. I'll draw your attention to it each time. You can say it yourself, and he will say, Mama matam. This is my opinion to you. Okay, so when he says, Akshara Brahma Paramam, no matam, that is Shruti. Okay, when he says, do these actions, this is definitely matam. Okay, so it's very clear. If he doesn't tell you matam, then it is Shruti. If he tells you, if it's not Shruti, he will inform you matam. He'll tell you that. It's very, very clearly, it's done. There is no issue on that. So this point should be clear to you with reference to all religions. Even in Mohammedism, for instance, La ilaha illallah, there is only one God and he is Allah. It is Shruti. But marry 4 times can be Smriti. Because this is not applicable to all people at all times, but it's applicable to all people at all times and there is only one God. So everything has that. Even Christianity has it. When Christians say the kingdom of heaven is within you, Shruti. When they say the Father and Son are one, Shruti. But when Christ says something like love one another, or if someone smotes thee on one cheek, lend him the other. This is matam. Because why is it matam? Because it was his opinion to the people he is speaking to then. Why was he speaking that language? Because they were all fighter-cocks. They were fighting with each other. So he said, look, you people, if anyone hits you on one cheek, you give the other cheek. Because they're fighting with each other. Krishna's matam is what? Arjuna, get up and fight. Just the opposite. Why? Because he's talking to a person who's not doing the fight that he should be doing. So matams differ. Shruti is always and eternally the same. Okay, so this idea that these actions should be performed is a matam given to you and me. This is not universally applicable, because suppose a person is at the level of meditation, then this is not what he should be doing. Suppose he's in deep tamas, then how can he be doing this? He can't execute these actions. Somebody has to make him get up first, then he can execute these actions. So these actions are applicable to some people at some time, and hence it comes as part of matam. I hope that is clear.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Anybody else? Everybody else okay with that? There's a video on it on the YouTube channel. Please go and look. I have given myself a labor-saving device. It is that channel. Whenever there were questions that were frequently dealt with, so I answered it over there and kept it, so anybody can go and listen to it.
Is it got some title, or is there some approximate date? How would we find it?
Just look up Shruti and Smriti.
Okay.
Another thing, of course, all of you, I hope you have done already, and if you have not done, please go and do it, which is listen to the meaning of Om Sahana Bhavatu. I hope you all know what you all are praying in the beginning. So go listen to that if you don't know it. And look up Om Sahana Bhavatu. It's meant for the class to be listening to these things, because you should know, right? What is the prayer you're doing? Praying away, but praying what?
I had found meaning of this Om Saha Navatu on the channel, Sanskrit channel. Can I put it on this group or no?
Sanskrit channel? No, you put the meaning we are using. Why put it on the group? Everybody can go look at it. What's the big deal?
Okay.
Harsimran has put a link. I'm not sure. Don't put it now, Harsimran, because you will encourage everybody to now go and look at it. Don't do these things. Think carefully. It's very nice of you to want to help everybody, but we don't want them to click the link now, right? So don't put that. It's very easy to get distracted. So basically all I was trying to say is that go back to the channel and see all the things, whatever you need to know, which you still don't know. Okay, so verse 6 is clear, right? That he says, iti me matam. Matam means this is applicable to some people at some times. It is not applicable to all people at all times. Okay, like he'll say, Kshetragnyam chapimam viddhi sarva kshetreshu Bharata. Oh Bharata, please understand, I am the Kshetragnyam, I am the enlivening principle in all the kshetras and all the fields. Shruti. But when he says, get up and fight Arjuna, Smriti. Here also he says that these actions should be performed. Smriti. So be careful in understanding what is Shruti and what is Smriti. If there is any kind of, what should I say, a contradiction between Shruti and Smriti, we always follow Shruti. If there is a contradiction, because Shruti is highest. There is no, nothing overtakes Shruti. Because those are eternal truths. They are always true. Okay.
So that you have to believe that all actions are evil? That becomes a
Shruti is yes. Shruti is yes. Every single action comes from desire. Correct. That is Shruti. Smriti is you have to perform these actions. That is Smriti. Which action will differ from person to person.
That's very sad.
Okay, I sympathize with you. Think about it tomorrow morning. Okay, verse 7.
Just say I'm doing nothing because it's evil. Then I'll become tamasic, no?
Yes, of course you will. Of course, if you don't do anything, you will become tamasic. Correct.
Then you are giving us two things. ये भी नहीं और वो भी नहीं. तो फिर क्या कर?
सुबह उठो, पढ़ो. Listen to this thing again. You should be told once, not over and over again. So listen again if you want to hear it again. Understand the concept. That is what we need to do. Intellect means comprehension. Struggle with it. That is now, here's another thing for us to know. They keep talking about having faith in the Guru. You know what faith in the Guru means? Faith in the Guru means that I believe you are not self-contradictory. So if I am seeing a contradiction, I must work on it. That's called faith in the Guru. Faith in the Guru means I think that you have an intellect. You have an intellect means you're not talking rubbish, you're not talking through your hat. So that is sort of important if you're learning from somebody, because you must start on the assumption that person is not talking through their hat. That means whatever they're saying is not self-contradictory. It's a very difficult thing to do, you know. People say, oh, I have faith in you. No, you don't. In fact, you should not have faith in me. But when you claim faith, it means that I believe that you are not going to be self-contradictory.
So you are telling us about the Vedanta, isn't it? You're interpreting it for us, and therefore we have complete faith in you. Our being present every time for class and not doing anything else is not.
Unfortunately not. Being present for class is only one step on the ladder. It's a great step when we take it, but there's a long journey ahead. It's like you're going to a lecture on nutrition. Does that mean that you're going to become fit? Not at all. That's your first step. Ab chalo, kaam karo. Shilpa Shah. Does Krishna say tasmat for Shruti? Not necessarily Shilpa. He may not say tasmat for Shruti. Tasmat means I have given you the reason and this is the conclusion. So there could be reason for a matam also. Tasmat only means therefore.
Thank you.
Okay, so verse 7. Niyatasya tu sannyasaha karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityagaha tamasa parikirtitaha niyatasya tu sannyasaha karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityagaha tamasa parikirtitaha. You know, when Tinky heard this, she said, you're saying that all action is evil. And if I don't do any action, I will be tamasic. And she was right, wasn't she? That's correct what she said. Arjuna probably also thought the same thought. Maybe a lot of people in the class also thought the same thought. And if you did think the same thought, then at least you're following the line of thought. At least you're following the flow of what he's saying. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. Some philosophers say that all action is evil. All action is evil because all action has desire. Some philosophers say that some action should be performed because they will purify you. My opinion, says Krishna, is that some action should be performed. Now he's telling you that for all those people who think that all action is evil, tasmat, therefore, no action should be performed, is incorrect logic. All action is evil is a matter of fact. From that fact, you cannot conclude that no action should be performed. So he says, niyatasya. Niyata karma means your obligatory duty. जो हम पर, we are bound to do it. Niyata karma. Sannyasah. Sannyasah, nyasah means to give up. Sannyasah, completely given up. So sannyasah of niyata karma na upapadyate is not correct. He's being very clear. Giving up of obligatory duties na upapadyate is not correct, is not proper. Now, why would we give up our obligatory duties? Mohat. Mohat means from delusion. When we give up action, when we give up our obligatory duties out of a moha, out of a delusion, this kind of tyag is known as tamasa tyag. This giving up is called tamasic tyag. So here is our definition of tamasic tyag. When you give up an obligatory duty out of moha, out of delusion, out of ignorance, out of not knowing, you give it up. This is called tamasic tyag. So what are the examples of tamasic tyag? Take a villager, for instance. A villager lives in his village. He has never seen the city. So he lives very happily over there, and he said, I don't want to go to the city. What is there in the city? This kind of giving up is known as tamasic tyag. You're giving up something you don't know. You don't even know what that thing is, but you say, I don't want it. Can you give me other examples of tamasic tyag?
Giving up on the spiritual path.
Excellent, Bharat. We have all given up the self. This is tamasic tyag. Why have we given it up? Because we don't know what it means. Why should we be self-realized? We don't understand. What are we going to get by it? We don't understand. Given it up. Very good, Bharat. Anybody else can give me examples of tamasic tyag?
A vegetarian saying that I've given up non-veg, or I don't eat non-veg.
Yes, very good. Remove this Omkar so that I can see who is talking.
Hariom Di.
Hariom, one second. Who said vegetarian versus non-vegetarian? Who said vegetarian? Who just said this? Brinda?
This is me, Brinda.
Yeah, okay. Yes, correct. People who have never tasted non-veg say, oh, I'm a great renouncer. I have not had non-veg. This is not tyag. Tyag is you know it and you give it up. Doesn't mean you have to eat it. Please, now don't go to the other extreme. Means you have investigated it and you have decided this is wrong and I'm not doing it. Okay, you have known it. You have put in the effort to figure out whether it should be done or not. You just happen to be born in a vegetarian family doesn't make you a tyagi with reference to non-veg food. Yes, very good. Anybody else wants to tell us what else?
Hariom Ji.
Hariom.
Like they say that हम इतने बड़े त्यागी हैं कि हमने भगवान को ही त्याग दिया है, self को ही त्याग दिया है. Means we don't even want to know about the self.
Yes, that's right. That's what Bharat said. Correct. Don't repeat. Listen to others.
Okay.
I'm getting very strict, no? Nowadays, everybody told me so much that you are so lenient and all. I think I'm now showing my true colors.
Janki ji, you're not going to a particular country for a job prospect because you have assumed that people living over there are terrorists and destructive.
Wonderful. Excellent, Aditti. Without knowing anything, you give up things. This is called tamasic tyag. I hope tamasic tyag is okay. Now, please look at our own tyag. How many things we claim we don't want, but the reason we claim, so many people say, I don't want to go to America. But have you been there that you're saying, I don't want to go? You first know what you're giving up. Then you can give it up. You have never seen anything and you say, I've given it up. You've never seen any part of the world and you want to give it up. How is that possible? So all that comes under tamasic tyag. Okay?
Janki ji.
Yeah, Reshma.
So in this scenario, if this is the definition what we go by, it is not practically possible that we will be able to understand what exactly that thing is which we are giving up. So how are we supposed to think about it?
Don't claim tyag. You don't have to now go into each thing and see I have to give it up or not. Don't claim tyag for things you don't know. Like even things like, some people have done horrible actions such as murder or something. So we think, oh, I will never behave like that. Don't claim tyag because you haven't known that situation. You haven't been in that situation where this man did this thing or this woman did this thing. So most of our judgments are all tamasic tyag. Have I walked in that person's shoes for a mile before I have commented on whether I'm going to do it in that position? So tamasic tyag is like all pervading. You see it everywhere, people making all sorts of claims. But you are giving up things that you don't know what you're giving up. You're claiming a renunciation which is not true. That is called tamasic tyag. Now, let us do rajasic tyag. Shall we do rajasic tyag? No, we'll do rajasic tyag next time. Let us talk further about tamasic tyag. I want you to do the two together so that you can see the difference in the two. But we have only 5 minutes. So let us understand this more carefully. So when you give up anything, it could be an object or it could be an action because you don't understand the value of it, then it's called tamasic tyag. Like some people say, oh, what, I don't need a degree, I don't need to be postgraduate, because you don't understand what you get by getting a postgraduate. Another example often given is a lady is carrying two parcels in her hand. One has jewelry and one has garbage. So she goes out of her house with one hand, in one hand is her jewelry and in one hand is the garbage bag. So very absent-mindedly, she throws the jewelry into the bin and she brings the garbage home with her. Okay? So, and then she puts the garbage nicely in her tijori. So you can't say this woman is, oh, look at her renunciation. She threw away the jewelry and she has kept the garbage. Uske liye to koi farak nahi padta, ek hi hai. No, that is not tyag because she did it out of ignorance. She didn't know she was throwing away her jewelry and bringing the garbage back. So that is called tamasic tyag. So if you wish to know whether anything you have given up is tamasic tyag or not, you have to ask yourself the first question. Do I know the joy content of that? Do I know it? If I don't know the joy content of that, then it's not tyag, it's only tamasic. Do I know that I have given this thing up? Like every time we take a stupid action, we have given up some good fruit of the future. Do I know? No, I don't. Every time I have not gotten up and studied, I have denied myself my own satisfaction in life. Do I know it? No, I don't know it. So therefore, giving it up becomes tamasic tyag. Tamasic tyag means it's not tyag. It only appears as tyag. Yes, Sanjay, that is correct. Like a middle class person saying that I do not want to be Mukesh Ambani. Correct. Everybody says, I don't want to be Mukesh Ambani. But do you know what it means to be Mukesh Ambani? That you are saying, I don't want to be. First find out, then decide. Sangeeta says, grapes are sour. No, Sangeeta, grapes are sour is rajasic. We'll do, that's why I want to do them together so that you will get it. Okay, let's just do a bit of rajasic tyag. Rajasic tyag is very different from from tamasic tyag. Rajasic tyag is when you know the joy content. You're completely aware. Like the fox was aware that the grapes are sweet. He's aware, he knows it. And he tries to get it. But he can't. He fails at it. And therefore he gives it up. So that is Rajasic Tyag. That is, like I saw CA, right? So these CAs, every year they apply for the exam and they fail. 9 out of 10 people, whoever you heard of doing CA, they're always failing only their exams. So it's a very difficult thing, apparently, to pass a CA exam. So some people say, oh, I don't want to be CA. Why? 7 times he's tried and 7 times he couldn't get through, so he gave it up. That is not Tyag. Okay? Single women saying, I don't want to be married, I'm happy being single. Is this tamasic Tyag? Depends. Yes, it could be. It could be Rajasic. It could be Sattvic. Just on this data, it is not possible for us to say. It depends on why did the woman say it. Is it because she had no idea of what is the joys of marriage? Then it's tamasic. She saw everybody else's marriage and decided, "Arey baapre, ye to mujhe nahi chahiye. I can't see any joy in it. It's only misery." Then it will be Rajasic. And Sattvic, of course, we will come to how will it become Sattvic. Okay. All right, so we will continue next time. This is a really great thing, so we will discuss it more next time. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Janki.
Hari Om. Thank you, Janki ji.
Hari Om Janki ji, thank you.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Thank you very much.
Hari Om
Hari
Janki
Om.
ji. Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji, thank you.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, thank you.